Hey guys, Itaewon Sammy, King of Gangnam Sammy, coming to you again with a great list. This list, I think, you will enjoy. 10 things I hate about living in Korea. Everybody talks about how much great I've been talking about, how great Korea is, how much I like it. 10 things you are going to hate about living in Korea. These are from my experiences, 13 years living here. I've got a lot of experience in this. So again, I do want to thank everyone for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. All my new subscribers, thank you so much. Please just click the like button or subscribe if you wish. If you like, comment. If you don't like, comment. Tell me what I'm doing wrong so that I can get better. This helps my channel just get a little bit bigger, a little bit wider audience, and hopefully I can grow this. I'm really having a lot of fun doing this. Okay, so let's get right into the story here. 10 things I hate about living in Korea. And number one is the pollution. The pollution here is bad. I've learned to live with it, and this is the reason why Koreans are so easy to wear masks. They have no problem in wearing masks because we wear masks all the time. We wear masks in the winter from November until April because of the dust that comes in from China and from Korea, the pollution. In the winter, it's pollution, and in the spring, it's yellow dust. Dust from the Gobi Desert comes across, collects the pollution, and then lands on the city. Number one and number two is how dirty everything is. You open your windows in the spring, and there's a fine layer of dust everywhere. You just go like this, and oh, look at the dust. Okay, and you just clean. Or you leave your windows closed, and it's still dust because it's everywhere. It's so bad. When I leave Korea and I go someplace else like Sri Lanka, back to Sri Lanka, and my nose just opens right up, and I'm like, wow, the difference in the air. You get used to it living here. But again, wearing a mask, Koreans do it all the time, so for us to wear a mask during COVID was not a big deal. Number two, the garbage situation. Household garbage has to be separated. And if you don't do it right, they will fine you. And it's happened to me once. I didn't put the recycling properly. I put the recycling in the garbage and not in the recycling bag. So what they do is they open up the bags and they look inside, and they found a piece of paper. And then they searched and found like a bill with my name on it or a packaging label, and then gave me a ticket, $100. So yeah, you got to be careful. So that's why I shred everything now. I don't put out any revealing information in my garbage. Number two. Oh, sorry, that's number three. Number three. Well, I'm gonna write this down here. Here we go. Let's put this down. That was number three. All right, number three. Number three is the traffic and driving and motorcycles. I'm going to put that all together here. So this will be number three, number four, number five maybe. So the first thing is parking. Cars will park wherever they want. And there's two reasons behind that. There's too many cars, not enough parking spots. Number two, the police cannot ticket a car on private property. So the sidewalk is technically private property, and it's up to the city office to ticket that car. But they don't have the resources to do it. So cars just park wherever they want. Sidewalks, wherever blocking. There's huge issues with it. And they'll even take the ticket. They don't care. They'll park in the middle of the road. They'll double park. Where there's like a turning lane, they'll just park there because they feel people can go around them. They'll park on the corner so you can't even see when you're turning. It's really bad. Number four, motorcycles driving on the sidewalk. Whatever. And number five is the traffic. To get from point A to point B, It's just ridiculous. It's so bad. That's why I only take the subway. At certain times, I will only ever take the subway. Like to get home from my afternoon job, I can take 2 subways, and it'll take me 15 minutes to get home. Or I can take 1 bus and just sit, get a seat and just sit, right? And just like veg out. But that takes me close to 30 to 40 minutes because of traffic. 1 bus drops me off right in front of my house. But I mean, I'm coming home at 5 o'clock in the middle of rush hour through Gangnam. Yeah, so I can't expect not to. But anyways, I have coined the phrase that driving in Korea is like a game of Tetris. If there's an empty spot, car's gonna go in there. Number 6, taxis and buses. They're not that bad. The driving is dependent on who. Sometimes you get great taxis, sometimes you get terrible ones. Sometimes you get good bus drivers, sometimes you get bad ones. You know, the jerky motion. You know, the taxi that I hate is the driver that just vroom, vroom, vroom. I don't understand that. Like, does he know what he's doing? Anyway, the one thing that pisses me off about taxis as well is, as a driver, when I was driving motorcycle, is they disconnect their brake lights. So they'll pull the fuse out of their brake lights so that the 2 bottom ones are not working. The center one works, but the 2 bottom ones are. So I used to see this like all the time. And I asked my friend about it. He says, oh, it's an insurance scam. So that you hit them from behind because you didn't see them braking, and then they can claim. Said, but the brake lights aren't working. The cops aren't going to ticket that. That leads me into number 6, is the police enforcement. The police do not enforce traffic laws. Cars running red lights, cars blocking intersections. People will enter an intersection without being able to clear it. Blatantly running red lights. So the light is green, yellow, red, 5 cars are still going. Still going, making that left turn, right? The advanced green happens after the lighting cycle. So you'll have green, then you'll have yellow, red, then left turn. In Canada, it happens at the beginning of the light cycle. Here it happens at the end of the light cycle. And the traffic lights in Canada, for example, it's green, yellow, 1, 2, 3, red. Here it's green, yellow, 5. Sorry. In Canada, it's green, yellow, 1, 2, 3, red, 1, 2, green for the other side. Here, it's green, yellow, 5 seconds, red, green. So it's immediate. Yeah, so cars not following the traffic laws. I fear for my life every day. But I'm in a bus, so I'm not too worried. Number 7. Things I hate about living in Korea is in the fall. So, Korea has tree-lined streets, and some wise administrator in the city decided that the ginkgo tree is the perfect tree to place along the streets of the city. With the shade, wide shade that it provides, and the natural tree of Korea. What they fail to remember is that the fruit that bears on this tree that falls in September, October, smells like crap. It is the worst smelling thing ever. Certain districts will actually prune the trees and collect the fruit, but other places, like my old neighborhood in Itaewon, they just let them fall on the ground and cars run over them, people walk on them, and it stinks. Awful. City last year started to remove those trees. Those were, I think, female trees, and trying to replace them with male trees so that they don't bear fruit or something like that. I don't know. Or replacing them. Yeah. Number 8. One of the things is going back to the smell, I personally, this is something that I hate. I don't know if you'll hate it. Is there's certain areas of the city where the food carts are, and there's one food I really can't stand the smell of, and that is the squid. When they barbecue the squid, it just it stinks. I really hate it. And then if someone in your apartment building is cooking, you can most times smell it throughout the whole building. That actually is a big problem in certain apartments. Not here, I don't have, it's not that big of a deal, but in certain apartments you can smell it. Whether they cook pork or what have you, it smells. I've been lucky that I haven't had that problem. But I was reading a news story about that is one of the complaints that happens in Korea. Number 9, the lack of seasons. Korea is supposed to have 4 seasons. It's got 2. It's got summer and winter. That's it. Weather changes like that. So, for example, for the last 5 days, up until today, the temperature has been 15 degrees and 4 or 5 degrees at night. It's raining today, drizzling, and then tomorrow, daytime temperature 5 degrees, nighttime temperature -5. It steps down for a whole week, and then it drops down again by 5 degrees. It's step. It's not a gradual slope over time. It just drops like that, all of a sudden. It's very weird the way the weather works. But we only have like 2 seasons. It goes from summer to winter very quickly. So it's warm now, and next week in November it'll start to get cold, and then by the end of November, that's it. We'll be in a deep freeze until March. It's not a true spring. Like, what I mean to say is there's still 4 seasons, but instead of it being like a sloping, it steps. Like, temperature stays the same for 3-4 weeks and then steps up, and then stays the same for 3-4 weeks and then steps up. It's very weird. You got to experience it. And number 10 of the things I hate about living in Korea is, what do I hate? What's the last thing I hate? I don't know if I have a 10th one. If I had to pick one, like at random, just like off the top of my head, which I've done on this list, but I mean, those things are pretty ingrained in me, is I'm gonna have to say foreigners in Korea. I like to take a positive attitude when I come to any country. Is I integrate. I try to learn as much as possible, and I integrate. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't drink soda. I don't, eat Subway or KFC or Starbucks or stuff. I do the Korean. I eat Korean. I live Korean. That's, for me, that's life. But when I see or hear online some of these foreigners who are like, oh, I don't like this. Why do they have to do that? Well, this is their country. You're a guest here. Yes, maybe it's not right what they're doing, but, who are you to tell them what to do in their own country? Would you stand for it if somebody did that in your country as a guest? Would you stand that if a guest did that in your own home? So what gives you the right to do it here? You may be absolutely correct. I'm not saying people shouldn't. I'm just saying what gives you the right as a guest to comment on another country, right? I personally live happier just, living within the rules. If I don't like the rule, I go someplace else. It's that simple. Now, there's something to be said about fighting for your rights, but when you're not a citizen, you don't have any rights. You're a guest. And again, there's something to be said about, you know, making change, positive change. And don't get me wrong, like during COVID, there was a whole big backlash about foreigners being treated differently. There still is. And because of the stink that foreigners made in the protesting, those things that the government did were rescinded. Like just recently, they mandated all children under the age of certain in one city had to be tested because one school that was predominantly foreigner had an infection. But that's discriminating against, the mindset was that, oh, this group of foreigners got infected, so because foreigners all hang out, because that's what they think, then we have to test all the foreigner kids. But they rescinded the order 2 days later. It was a small city south of Seoul. They didn't understand that that's what it was, but it's done. I'm not going to get into it anyway. Basically, I agree that, you know, we should speak out when there's injustice or when there's something that's not right, but you got to remember, this is not your country. You're not a citizen. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to follow the rules and the laws that are put in place here by the government that has invited you to come here. Yes, you do pay taxes, you do that, but that's, again, this is not your country. Kind of want to get that out there. I'm not saying that the government is right. I'm saying you got to look at it from their perspective. And would you stand for it if someone came to your country and did the same thing? That's all I'm going to say, all right? Anyway, those were my 10 things that I hate about living in Korea. They're not big deals. I can live with them. It's not that big of a deal. I've survived 13 years with it. You will too. Stay safe, everyone. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask. Love each other. Itaewon Sammy, King of Gangnam. I'm out.